minutes around there.
A 2-minute podcast?
Yeah, it's not a podcast. Hello and welcome to the Watchful Penguin
That was
preview.
cool. That was cool.
We have a new show, Tyson.
Yeah, we have a 4, 5, 6 month possible hiatus. Might have even been
A little longer
than that.
Yeah.
You go back to the tech room there, get some brand new gadgets put together, and we are set to go for another rendition of the Watchful Penguin, a revved up, revamped rendition of the Watchful Penguin, and excited to get going.
Yeah, a little different format. We're gonna do, like I said, this is the Watchful Penguin preview.
Yeah.
We're gonna preview the week for you in all things geek and geek culture. That's basically the things we geek out about.
Or just some things you need to know if you've been living under a rock for a year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So appreciate you getting me back on the microphone, and this has been great. By the way, if you've been living under the rock, let's just review, if we will,
Yes.
the week that was, and of course the biggest story there, as Peter Griffin says, the freaking Pope was in the United States, and of course that drew national headlines all over the place.
Well, of course, yes. Everybody was talking about it. And he went to Congress, and Reddit was freaking going crazy about this. And Reddit, one of their automatic subs is atheism. So they were excited about it, even or talking about it a bunch. So it was pretty impressive.
And then he makes a trip to Philly before he departs. Philadelphia, of course, the place of brotherly love, the same place where earlier this summer, one of my good friends, Hitchbot, had a very unfortunate end with a hitchhiker as he was hitchhiking his way across the United States. And still, R.I.P. Hitchbot. I hope they get started up. There's a Canadian company that did that.
Yeah.
A Canadian or 2 Canadian scientists, I guess, robotic people that did that. I hope they get started up again because that was kind of a cool project. And just don't take it through Philly.
Yeah. The sad thing is he made it clear across Canada just fine.
We went across the better part of the world, for that matter. Germany, some other countries as well.
Basically one state in the United States, and he's gone.
He got to the East Coast.
How bad is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably shouldn't have started on the East Coast. Maybe.
So Hitchbot has a sad end, as we know. Let's talk about the week that is upcoming, and
yes, absolutely.
Let's start off in TV, where I've been encouraged, and I'll let you get to maybe what's on your watch list, but on my watch list, it actually starts tonight. Monday Night Raw.
All right.
You want to talk about all things geek? We'll talk about all things geek. I've been
absolutely
re-energized, and I think it's been based on what the WWE has done within the past couple weeks. And I was one of those fans growing up watching wrestling, watching some of the great names, the Stone Cold Steve Austins, the Stings, the Rocks, and it appears that they have realized that that was their money market. And they have gone back to that. Of course, at the end of last season, Sting coming back, the Dudley Boys coming back in the tag team titles that were over at Night of Champions just 2 weeks ago. So they've gone back to their money market. So it's great to see these guys back in the ring. And now, of course, we know that Stone Cold Steve Austin, he's getting a big push in the upcoming video game for the WWE 2016, so the likelihood of him making a comeback is very high. So really like what wrestling is doing, and it starts tonight over on USA. So that's on my watch list.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, for the longest time they kind of went off the rails, and that's where it lost me. I'll be honest, I'm probably not going to watch tonight, but I may be interested in the future.
Storylines got bad.
Yeah.
Sometime after.
Well, the storyline aspect got a little too heavy.
Right.
If they would have just stuck to wrestling, people would have stayed interested. But they had to go on the backstage drama and all that stuff. And that's where
some of that still exists. Some of that still exists, but. Sting just greasing somebody is still there, and then the Stinger splash to see that again. But yeah, shortly after D-Generation X's reunion with Shawn Michaels and Triple H, that's where they lost me. And then finally I get a text that said, Sting's back! turn, and then I'm like, what do you mean? You know, and he's like, turn on Raw right now. This was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I've been kind of a re-energized wrestling fan. So WWE Monday Night Raw is on my weekly watch list.
Yep.
Probably living between that and the Monday Night Football game. Got a big game on tonight. So
Sure.
Your weekly watch list.
Well, I know Gotham is on tonight. That's the Batman prequel kind of thing, more focused on Jim Gordon, which has been really good. The first episode of this new season, which is can't remember the tagline, but it's villains will be born, and so they're showing off the Joker and a few other of the asylum criminals. And let's see, next or not tomorrow. Well, I think Big Bang Theory is on tonight.
This week.
New one, yeah, and yeah, this week. And I've been watching. Probably a guilty pleasure of mine. You're the Worst on FX is a pretty funny show, actually. Sometimes it gets a little crazy, but it's actually a pretty good show. I've been watching that. And Married is a good show too on FX as well.
Huh, so a big FX watcher.
I am.
Subtle plug.
I've become apparently.
Right on, right on. Okay, well let's shift our focus to moving on to the big screen. And you were at the big screen this weekend.
I went to the Intern, not to be confused with the Internship.
Right.
I believe was what it was called, with Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn. This is with Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway, which is a very different cast.
Wonderful.
And it was a good movie. There were moments that kind of made you sad a little bit, but then they kind of brought it back. And basically, he signed up for the senior citizens work brigade because he didn't want to just retire. Like, he had nothing to do, so he's like, I need to get back into the workforce. And he gets hired with Anne Hathaway's company, and then they go through this.
I would never do that if I was retired, by the way. If I was retired and had nothing to do, I would be the happiest person ever.
Yeah.
Just sit on the couch. Like today's agenda, you get your agenda for the day, and you're like, it involves a whole lot of couch sitting and beer drinking and TV watching.
Absolutely.
That would be sweet. I can't wait to retire.
That would be awesome.
I'm never going to retire. I'm looking forward to this one. Legend.
Okay,
Legend.
I hadn't heard about it until I started looking up stuff for today.
So you started to put an agenda together.
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah. So
Great.
I started watching trailers, and I'm like, oh my god, this looks amazing.
Right. It's going back to the London mob setting. I think back in the 1960s.
Yeah.
So yeah,
around that area.
Looks fantastic.
Tom
by the way.
Hardy playing identical twins, both sides of the identical twins. It's like, that's odd, but the trailer looked amazing, so he obviously did a good job. So.
That's not, by the way, coming up. That's not coming up this week, but it's coming up this month. So we just thought we'd throw that out there. Or is it this week?
I think it is this week.
All right,
then. It was on the watch for this week. So
it is September 28th, isn't it? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Matt Damon signing The Martian.
Yeah, The Martian. So another movie where Matt Damon gets lost on a planet and somebody has to go save his ass.
Matt Damon.
Interstellar being the other movie that people had to go find him and save him or whatever.
So Matt Damon's still in space.
This is a big deal. It's a classic book that a lot of people loved.
I don't read.
Clearly, but so yeah. I mean, they're finally making a movie out of it.
Honestly, who reads books anymore? Honestly,
people.
I just don't think it's a big thing anymore.
Okay, whatever.
Who has time to read? Like
people,
I read.
Again, people.
I read Twitter. Give me 140 characters. Give me the bullet points. Give me what I need to know.
Well, I think that's the biggest problem nowadays.
Yeah, that's might be another topic for another show. Like the Watchful Penguin investigates.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. I'm cooking. One of the things we like to do. One of the things we like to do in our free time, we like to play video games.
Oh, we do.
I've been playing a lot of, I think, the best sports franchise to hit the next gen consoles.
Okay.
Whereas a lot of people are like, he's gonna say Madden because he just said the best sports franchise. The best sports franchise that's hit the next gen consoles is clearly NHL. with 15 and 16, the physics, the graphics, the overall presentation, the live broadcast mode with Mike Emmerich and Eddie Olczyk.
Yeah.
NHL right now takes the cake in the sports franchises. But coming up this week, one that's sure to raise a lot of eyebrows, NBA 2K16. I've seen trailers for this.
Yeah.
And this looks like it's going to be a close competition for second.
Really? Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, last year, everybody was talking about it. And the 2K franchise usually has been pretty good lately, especially. And to be honest, EA has taken a back seat to them in a lot of their sports games. I was listening to a game journalist talk the other day, and he was saying the PES was actually, he thought, better than FIFA, which is kind of surprising because, I mean, you and I both played a lot of FIFA.
Right.
So
I haven't played the PES, so I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's another one that's making a comeback, if you will. Tony Hawk is back and coming into the next gen console. If anybody, I played until my controller was literally worn down on the old Nintendo. Excuse me. Was it on N64 or was it on Sony PlayStation 1? I can't remember.
PlayStation, I believe.
Okay. I wore the controller down playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Yeah, and I've heard it's a kind of throwback to those old games. And
the trailer looks throwback-ish. Yeah. I mean, the graphics don't look like, we're going off into some kind of interesting environment. There's a lot of extravagant tricks, if you will, these things that you will never ever see on just because then they went to like a lot of like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater Street where they were doing a lot of the general going around
ramping up
the town, grinding on the rails. Now it looks like they're going back to the big air, the 360s, the 1080s. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. I don't know if I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah.
I certainly want to play it.
Sure.
I want to see it if it's worth. And maybe just for the sake of nostalgia's sake, to throw yourself back to when you were 15 years old and playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. And again, I can speak for a lot of people. I thought we were all going to be skater boys after Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Everybody wanted to get out on a skateboard and ride around.
It did get a lot bigger after that game.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of throwbacks,
yeah,
Fallout Anthology is coming out this week.
Okay, this is just for the PC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because this is including all 5 Fallout games that have ever been put out. This is starting with Fallout 1, which is the top-down, like
that would be an anthology,
old school video game.
Right.
And so, yeah, you're getting Fallout, Fallout 2, Fallout Tactics, Brotherhood, or no, that's Tactics, and then 3 and New Vegas, all in this anthology, and it comes in awesome, like it looks like a nuke, a mini nuke from the game in this box, and you take the top off and you get all the games inside of it, and it looks really awesome. So I'm a big Fallout nerd.
Fallout Anthology.
Yes, I'm a big Fallout nerd. So that's and they're getting ready for the Fallout 4 coming out in November.
Good stuff.
Yes.
Good stuff. Let's quickly turn our attention over to sports. Where again Monday Night Football tonight. Broncos versus the Packers. No, Packers versus the Chiefs. There it is. Packers versus the Chiefs. Broncos played last night.
The page was slow to load.
Let's see. No, it wasn't. I thought it was the Broncos. Anyways, Green Bay is a 7-point favorite. I like Green Bay to win this football game.
Right.
That is despite the lack of their running back, Eddie Lacy, who is one of several big-name injuries. And we'll keep an eye on our injuries this week because we want to hear more about Ben Roethlisberger. He's the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep.
He goes down last week or yesterday, I should say, with a knee injury against my St. Louis Rams, who start 1-2 on the season. Several other big-name injuries that we've had this season. Of course, at the very start of the season, Jordy Nelson. So the Packers are banged up. They had a lot of question marks. Looks like Devontae Adams is going to play tonight, as well as one of their other wide receivers.
Sure.
So James Jones, who at one point was maybe high on your fantasy football start list, he drops down a little bit. Again, a couple of the other receivers for Green Bay going healthy, 7-point favorite at home at Lambeau, like Green Bay to win this football game tonight.
All right.
So we'll keep an eye on our fantasy football waiver wire. We'll take a look at some of the games coming up next week, and then coming up on next week's show, we'll review some of those games, talk about more about some of the injuries, and maybe give you some fantasy football waiver wire pickups for our sports department next week. And this is my favorite time of the year, by the way, because coming up next week, the NHL hockey season rolls around. Basketball season is not too far away. Of course, you got the Major League Baseball playoffs. So, really, if you're a sports fan, the month of October is perfect.
This is the time of year.
This is perfect. It's the fall sports season, so we'll take a look and maybe even give my NHL and NBA power rankings on next week's show. Early season predictions on who we think is going to go to the Stanley Cup Final and the NBA Finals. Of course, you take off the S when you're talking in hockey because they're Canadian. So, with that, I think that just about wraps up the show. Anything else on the agenda? The last minute moment of zen from you?
No, that should do it.
And we're going to put more graphics up.
We are. We do have fancy graphics.
So those are fancy.
Yeah.
So you can go to facebook.com/the Watchful Penguin.
And that actually works now. I fixed it. So that actually does work.
We're hashtagging a Penguin preview.
We are. If you have anything.
We're hashtagging.
Yeah.
That was so last year.
It is not.
That was last year.
Fine.
You can hashtag Penguin Preview on Twitter.
If you want to make fun of us, we're putting a hashtag.
Follow us on Twitter at Watchful Penguin. Not the Watchful Penguin.
No.
We are Watchful Penguin on Twitter.
They don't allow that many letters.
Really?
Yeah.
We should get that verified. Google plus the Watchful Penguin.
Yeah, I just looked that up.
And then we have
a bunch of numbers.
Is that our Gmail account or our email account?
No.
News
at thewatchfulpenguin.com. Yes.
Yeah, that's our email account.
Yeah.
And then log on to thewatchfulpenguin.com.
Absolutely.
We have a newly revamped website. It's pretty exciting stuff.
I just redid it. We got a new theme. Everything looks.
So there's lots. The camera's here. There's lots to come here within the next several weeks here for the Watchful Penguin preview.
Yes.
Again, follow along Monday mornings around 8 a.m. We're going to say 8 a.m.-ish here for the...
very good.
And then we're going to get coffee cups.
We are getting a
awesome.
Coffee cups.
Follow us Mondays, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. See you next week.
Yes.